Well, hello, everybody. My name is Tamara Hamilton, and I'm coming to you from Reston, Virginia. I am the owner of Audacious Coaching, and what I try to do is help people to live their best lives. And I thought that my gift to the universe and to 2017 would be to connect some of my good friends who are filled with wisdom with other friends who are seeking wisdom. And that's how we come here today. This theme is called Dared Hope. And I remember when I was a little girl, kids used to say, I dare you. And then we'd say, I double dog dare you. And then one day I was just thinking that in the condition that our country is in and the world is in, it's almost a dare to have hope. President Obama brought us that theme 8 years ago. And even though election 2016 changed a lot, I thought that maybe we need to dare to have hope. And as I was thinking about this thing, the first person who came to mind was my dear friend, Vivian Connor. And that's why I'm featuring a conversation with her tonight. Vivian and I met in 1985 in Germany when our husbands accepted jobs to provide financial services to the military in Germany. And both of us were teachers, and both of us quit our good jobs for an adventure. She brought 2 little children with her. I brought a 3-year-old son who's now 35, and I have grandchildren. And then 2 of my children were born in Germany. But as I think about Dare to Hope, I think about Vivian when I think about all the people who are fighting debilitating diseases and think that there is no way out except what the doctors have said. So I thought it would be great to share Vivian's wisdom, or have her share her wisdom and her amazing story. We all have stories, but some of us need a little bit of help in getting those stories out. And I am responding to my calling as a storyteller myself, and one who can help people tell their stories. So Vivian will share with us her amazing journey. She is a 30-year educator. She was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and now lives in Atlanta, Georgia with her husband, Willie. And her daughter is Coach Kiva, who is helping women be accountable for their health. She has 2 grandchildren and a son-in-law in Tampa, Florida. So I'm going to give you Vivian now to tell her story. And again, why Vivian? Because she's a champion, she's a warrior, she's a survivor, and she's filled with the Holy Spirit. And so Vivian, I'm going to put the spotlight on you so that you can come before us in your own way, as they say in church. And let me make sure I can bring you forward, and there you are. So Vivian, say hello to all the people who are listening. And this video becomes a part of an archive as Vivian begins not only to tell her story, but to write her story so that the world can be blessed by her struggles and by her victories. Vivian.
Thank you so much, Tamara. And I just want to thank you for being audacious and being the wonderful person you are. And you have the right title for your business, Audacious Coaching.
Thank you.
Because you're one of the most wonderful, most intelligent people I know. And I'm just so happy to be part of your life.
Thank you.
Well, Tamara, as you know, and many other people know, I was born with a condition called sickle cell anemia. And sickle cell anemia is a disease that affects the blood. And as a young child, I suffered a lot, in and out of the hospital with blood transfusions because of having what we call sickle cell crisis, which caused severe pain in your body. I'm out of here. Oh my God. I lost.
No,
Am
we
I back?
see you. Yeah, you're here.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see you just fine.
Okay, good. Something happened to my computer. Excuse me.
That's okay. Just keep going. It's fine.
Okay. And so as a child, my mother had something on her hands, dealing with a child that was always sick, in and out of the hospital. But by the grace of God, the doctors at the Memphis Hospital was able to give me a protocol to live by. Drinking a lot of fluids, staying away from sugar, or whatever. And my mother tried her best to help me live a normal life. Finally, the sickle cell stabilized, and I was able to go on and finish high school, attend college, and pursue a career as an educator. But while I was in Germany, I'm going to skip all the way to Germany. I flew from Europe back to the US, which was like an 8-hour flight. And I was constantly doing that, not knowing that high altitudes had a negative effect on sickle cell. My husband and I flew from Germany to Texas, where I experienced a severe sickle cell crisis that almost took my life at that time. By the grace of God, I decided to bring my 2 small children with me because I could feel something, my body wasn't feeling right at that time. And I said, I can't leave Chad and Kiva here. Something said, bring those kids with you. And I did. I ended up in St. Francis Hospital for about a month. The doctors there, they couldn't even believe that I was surviving because my blood pressure had fallen so low. I was dehydrated. I just had so many issues that was causing me to be sick. When I went into that sickle cell crisis, I think I stayed asleep. I wouldn't say it was a coma, but I stayed asleep unconscious for about a week. When I woke up, the first thing I asked my husband when I saw that bag of blood hanging over my head, I said, Willie, did they clean the blood? Because at that time, AIDS was out. Mm-hmm. And people that were getting blood transfusions were contracting AIDS. And our famous tennis player, what is his name? Arthur Ashe had just contracted AIDS from a blood transfusion. So I was pretty scared. But they told me, don't worry, we checked the blood has been cleaned, you're gonna be okay, Mrs. Connor. I received a lot of prayer from the nuns in that hospital because my energy level was so low, it was like my life force energy was leaving my body. But I got better by the grace of God. I remember my mom stopped what she was doing because when I came out of that deep sleep, my husband put me on the phone with my mother, and my mother said, when I heard your voice, I knew something was wrong because I'm the person that's always happy and vibrant. And my mother had my brother to drive her all the way from Memphis, Tennessee to Texas so she could sit by my bed like she had done so many years when I was a small child dealing with sickle cell. There were 2 young doctors at this hospital. One was African and one was Caucasian, hippie type doctors. And they said, Mrs. Connor, you must begin to take better care of yourself. And that was what I thought I was doing. I thought I was taking care of myself. I had changed my diet a little bit and was trying to do better with exercising, but it wasn't good enough. They said you must begin to drink water. You must begin to eat right. If you feel any pain, immediately take pain medication. Because it was just by the grace of God that I had come out of this sickle cell crisis. To fast forward on, this sickle cell crisis did damage to my body. I didn't recover well. I recovered enough to go back to Europe, which they had advised me not to do, but I went back anyway because our home was there and our jobs were there. I started having joint problems that were so severe, I couldn't even get out of the bed in the mornings. The cartilage in my shoulders, my knees, my hips were deteriorating. So we asked around on the military base and we found this doctor that specialized in sickle cell. And he told me that sickle cell patients could go blind, that any socket in your body could be affected with sickle cell because of lack of blood circulation. And that's what I was dealing with at the time. My blood wasn't getting to the proper places. So one thing led to another, and Willie and I came home to seek advice and help from others about my condition. And so I met lots of different people, talked to doctors, but one particular thing I think helped me was when I walked into a health food store. And this woman had written this book called I Cured My Arthritis, You Can Too. So I bought the book and I started reading the book, and this woman had severe arthritis to a point where she was actually in a wheelchair. And she said that she fasted and she used green foods. I had never fasted before in my life, but I thought it was the way to go to help me get out of the pain, because I was actually using a cane, taking Tylenol 3. And I remember Kiva telling me, she said, Mom, she said, I don't remember you being well. And I felt so bad because she said, I'm always saying my mother's sick, and I didn't want my children to see me that way. So I started a program of fasting. I followed the program. And when I fasted, my body had a very positive change. The pain went away. I could actually walk without limping. And so that right there told me that what I was putting in my body had an effect on this condition I had.
Now, Vivian, how long did you fast?
The first fast was 15 days because the protocol was 5 days of nothing but lemon and water. 5 days you got back on your fruits because the fruits were the cleansers, and then 5 days on green foods. And
now,
I tell you,
is it juice? Are you liquid at that time?
You could have any green food you wanted to. At that time, I wasn't really juicing. It was just, you just ate the green food.
Okay.
And I tell you, it made a big difference. It made a big difference in how I felt and everything. But of course, at that time, I wasn't disciplined enough to keep up with the protocol. So once I started back on the standard American diet, the same effects came back. The pain and the inability to walk properly and not being able to get in and out of a car. And at 30-something years old, I was moving like an 80-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started doing more research. And in my research, I started learning about other people and how they had healed themselves. And this beautiful young lady invited us to a service at a church. And lo and behold, she told me, she said, Mrs. Connor, Dr. Sadie is coming to town. I said, well, who is Dr. Sadie? He's this healer from Honduras. I want you to come to his workshop. Here I am, a 30-something-year-old woman walking on a cane.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. And so Willie and I, we went out to Dr. Sadie's workshop, And this tall, beautiful man at an elderly age looked so young and beautiful and fresh. And he stood there in all of his beautiful white garb, and he wrote on a board, acid alkaline. And he talked about how the pH balance of our bodies could either go from one end to the other, and we needed to be right in the middle, because too much acid sets up disease. And I was so inspired by this man, I actually went to Honduras to his center. While I was there, I met Lisa Lopez, you know, the young lady from TLC.
Yes.
That was her doctor too. And so she was there, and lots of other people were there for Dr. Sabi's services and his detox program. And it was a beautiful thing. And so we cleansed off his herbs. We ate nothing but raw foods. We sat in the hot natural spring saunas there. We went into his natural saunas, the hot tub, everything just natural. All the foods are on the ground, the mango trees, the green plants we ate, and I got much, much better. I met a lot of people there with brain tumors, breast tumors, all kind of sicknesses. And having that experience with Dr. Sabi helped me to launch a new way. I came back to America, and Willie told me, he says, you are glowing. But you know, once you get into America and you start smelling McDonald's, French fries, and all of that, it's hard because you have so much going against you. You know, everything is fried, you know, sugared and everything. So I was coming out of a natural environment back into, I call the wilderness.
And Vivian, while you were on that journey trying to get better from sickle cell, now our preacher did a sermon not too long ago called Divine Interruptions, where you think you're on one path and then something happens. So now you're working on that, and then you do a breast exam.
One morning, I mean, just out of the blue, I had gone to this breast cancer seminar, and they were promoting, you know, women, do your self-breast checks and, you know, stay in touch with your breasts. And so for some reason, one morning I got up and I did a self-examination, and there was a lump in my breast that I hadn't even noticed. And my husband immediately said, Vivian, you know, have that checked. You need to go and have that checked. And so I went to DeKalb Medical, had my mammogram done, and the young man said to me, Mrs. Connor, it looks suspicious. If you were my mother, if you were my sister, or any female in my family, I would recommend that you go see a breast doctor, a breast surgeon. And so he gave me a list of names, and I selected this one particular doctor at Crawford Long, and she examined the breast, and she said, well, let's do a fine needle aspiration. And that's where they take this long needle, stick it into the tumor, take some of the fluids out, and run it under the microscope. So I get a phone call from her, and she said, well, it looks suspicious, so the next step is to have a biopsy. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting to have my biopsy done, 2 more tumors showed up in my breast. So I'm thinking she tampered with this tumor, and now the cancer cells have moved. But by the grace of God with me, I truly believe with me being on that healing path, that the cancer stayed confined in the ductal walls of that breast. So what I had was intraductal carcinoma confined to the ductal walls. So my doctor's recommendation was to have the breast removed. She said that we could go in from the nipple, cut out the sac, pull that out, because that's where the cancer was, We could either go into your belly and take tissue and fat from your stomach and rebuild the breast. And of course, the other breast was going to have to be tampered with because they have to make them the same. Or we can put saline bags in. And I was just sitting there just crying and like, oh my God, this is just getting to be too much, God. You know, why all of this? You know, why is my body going through all of these changes? Why? And I told her, I said, okay. So I planned for the surgery. I kept calling around to other doctors though. Mm-hmm. And my surgery was set for early one morning. I don't even remember the date. But 5 o'clock that morning, I got a phone call from one of the top cancer doctors in Metro Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I explained my condition to him. And he says, well, Mrs. Connor, the type of cancer you have, it could kill you in 5 years. Mm-hmm. What I had thought about, Tamara, was my sister at 31 years old had passed away from cancer, and I didn't like the results that she mm-hmm. got from having chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. My sister was one of the most beautiful women in the world, and she was doing fine before she started the treatment. Now, I'm not trying to talk about the treatment. I'm not trying to encourage anyone not to do it because that's your decision and your path. But I noticed that once they started tampering with my sister, mm-hmm. my sister withered away. She went down. And it seemed as though everybody in my family that took the medical way, they didn't survive. My brother had 4th stage lung cancer. He did the radiation, and I truly believe that the treatment made him worse. My brother actually started bleeding from his urine, throat closed up, and I asked his doctor, I said, if you would have had 4th stage lung cancer, would you have taken chemotherapy or radiation? And he says, no. I said, well, why did you recommend it to my brother? He says, because we have to. Mm. It's against the law for us not to. The patient has to make that decision. So all of those things were running in my head. You know, from my niece's mother that died from chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, from my cousin. You know, we had plenty of people mm-hmm. in my family to have had cancer and didn't make it. Right. And so when Dr. White recommended all of that to me, I felt that it was a little bit radical for early mm-hmm. stage mm-hmm. because I had met and talked with plenty of people that have had 4th stage cancer and survived it. Mm-hmm. They had gone to Hippocrates, they had gone to the Ann Wigmore Center, but of course these people could afford those alternative therapies. Mm-hmm. They had been all over the world and they were still living. They had a story to tell. And I said, well, if this cancer is in early stage and this doctor's telling me I have time to think about it and it would take 5 years before me to expire, if I was going to expire, then I said, I'm going to try a new way. Willie and I prayed about it, and we had already done plenty of research, and we had a backup plan from Dr. Contreras at Oasis of Hope, a doctor that I just love so dearly because they ran him out of America. Because he's the doctor that people with wealth go to when there's no hope. That's why his center is called Oasis of Hope. Mm-hmm. If he can help you, he will. He doesn't overdose you on chemotherapy, radiation, or any of those type things. But anyway, once Willie and I had made that decision together, you called me at 6 o'clock that morning, the day I was going to have my surgery. And what did you say, Tamara?
I went off. Well, first of all, I'm sitting at work, just starting at the NEA, and I'm in Happy Land. And I get this call about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And Vivian, first you told me you had breast cancer. So that knocked me off of my chair. I turned off my computer, ran to the garage and cried all the way home to Reston. But when you told me your surgery was going to be the next day, and you said, I have to have a double mastectomy. And I said, I will call you at 5:30 in the morning to pray. Mm-hmm. And I diligently made that call, and you said, I'm not having it. I canceled the surgery. Mm-hmm. And then I went ballistic again because I thought it was a death sentence. I said, how can you do this, Vivian? Have you given up? And then you had to put me on the shelf where you put your mother and everybody else.
Absolutely.
So tell them what happened there.
Well,
you take your dearest friend and say, you know what, girl? I'm not dealing with you and anybody else who's going to get in my head.
Everybody that I had told that I wasn't going to do the surgery were, oh my God, they just went crazy. Even my doctor.
So radical. It was just
even my doctor. My doctor wrote to my gynecologist, my primary doctor, everyone. Mrs. Connor is denying the procedure. She's not going to follow the protocol, and everybody was just up in arms. And so at that point, I decided, okay, I'm cutting everybody off. I'm going within. We're closing up our home. And that's exactly what Willie and I did. We just stopped talking to people about the situation. And we went to work. So my husband became my juice therapy man. Bless his heart. I mean, because the goal was that I had to drink 64 ounces of raw juice every day. And that's a lot of juice.
That is a lot of juice. That's a lot of shopping too.
That's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And all organic. And I was to consume these juices 8 ounces at a time on the hour. And then I could consume other raw fruits and vegetables, well, especially vegetables. And that's what we did. We got busy. We started working, including using other herbs that we had learned about through Dr. Sadie and other healers to continue to cleanse and detox my body. And so the detoxification was so rapid until I got sicker and sicker. I mean, if you've ever detoxed before, mm-hmm. you actually get weak before you get strong. Mm-hmm. And I had read this Dr. Day story, and she said that her body detoxed really fast too. And what she did, she added one cooked plant-based meal. And that's what I did to slow up the detox process. Mm-hmm. So we stayed on the path. We stayed on the path, and through me staying on the path and cleansing, I read books by Queen Afua, Wayne Dyer, Caroline Mace. I was just filling my head with just healing modalities and things that people have done to stay well, to keep me up, and praying and using the Bible and the scriptures. And Dr. Sadie CMOS was one of the top things we used too. And through all of that, Tamara, it took about a year before those tumors dissolved out of my breasts. And my doctors, it was just unbelievable to them. Mm-hmm. But I did develop a relationship with one doctor that understood what I was going through, and he would be my blood tester. He would give me some type of marker mm-hmm. to mark the cancer. So every 3 months, I would go to him to get a blood marker, and it showed that the cancer hadn't spread or anything like that during the process. And he says, well, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing, because my body had to go through a really deep cleansing because I had too much oil, too much sugar, too much undigested protein from animals clogged in my body. My body was just clogged. Mm-hmm. And so to get rid of the mucus and and to just clean the organs so that the organs could start breathing and the body will then start healing itself.
Now, during that time, did you read the book, The Muculus Diet Healing System by Dr. Arnold Ehret?
You told me about that book, and I bought his whole series of books.
Yes, yes.
And I read this book called A Cancer Battle Plan about this woman that survived cancer. After going through chemotherapy, radiation, they sent her home to die. And she decided to change her lifestyle. She went to a nutritionist, and the nutritionist helped her become plant-based, and she survived cancer. And there are just so many other stories out there. Reverend Magnus with Hallelujah Acres, he played a very important part in my life. And you know, Reverend Magnus had 4th stage colon cancer. And he went to Hippocrates. He changed his life overnight, and the cancer went away.
Yes.
And so
now, Dr. Clements is the director of Hippocrates and came to Reston a couple years ago. And I followed him for the last 30 years, and he still looks like an extremely young man.
Absolutely.
But in that room were people from Reston who had stage 4 cancers, both prostate and colon and breast. And all of them had gone to Hippocrates, and all of them were cancer-free. So the diet is becoming more and more valid for people when they want to make a radical change. Now, some people are asking questions, Vivian.
But let me just say this. The diet, when you're in crisis like that,
yes,
you have to get the cells, you have to cleanse the cells. So that's why what you consume is the most important part.
Right.
But not only that, there's an emotional part to the healing.
Yes, now
the
talk
emotional
about that.
part to the healing.
Just real quick, I'm answering some of the questions as they're coming. And some people wanted to know if you were vegetarian. I said that you were vegan. But
I am. I'm 75% raw.
75% raw. Okay.
And 25% plant-based.
Okay.
I mean, plant-based cooked.
Before we leave, I'm going to ask Vivian to take us through a day of what she and Willie eat. Now, Willie's different because Willie's on a higher level than all of us.
Yeah.
He's been raw now for 3 years and makes the most incredible raw foods and told me he's figured out how to make raw bacon. So I think I'm going to have to go to Atlanta now. I can't do that on the web. If he's got raw bacon, I might see you guys in about a week. So go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, we just had some of that today. It was absolutely delicious. It's just amazing what you can do with fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
When I decided to go on this path, it seems as though God put everything in place that I needed. He put the people, it's like my girlfriend told me she never noticed yellow Volkswagens until she got one.
Exactly.
And so when I started this path, I ended up having the people put in my life that I needed. And one of the most important things, one of the healers I work with told me, he says, Vivian, be happy. Because cancer, it also has something to do with unresolved resentments. And I had some. I had some. You know, being born and wanting to have a relationship with my father, never had one. And just a whole lot of other things, you know, making some decisions that kind of affected my life and unforgiveness of myself. So once I started cleansing my body, I was able to begin to really move to a new level of forgiveness of myself. Self-forgiveness, self-love, being able to honor myself and appreciating my life and who I was and what I had.
Yes. I think that's so critical. When we talked earlier today, that was a part we had talked about in our almost weekly phone calls. And you also told me and inspired me to start reading A Course in Miracles. Now, I haven't been as diligent, but that's going to be part of my work in 2017 is to begin the Course in Miracles.
Yes.
Can you say more about what that book did for you?
Well, that book helped me to understand what Christ actually did in his life. Mm-hmm. To love yourself, to love unconditionally, which is so hard for most of us. Mm-hmm. You know, we put conditions on everything.
Right.
You know, I'm going to be happy when I get this or when I do that, but you have to do, be now. You have to do and be it now.
Mm-hmm. You can't say that enough, so repeat it one more time.
You have to do and be it now. You just, you have to, because tomorrow is not promised to us.
That's right. My dad went to bed on a Saturday night, August the 8th, 1967. I was 15 years old, and I kissed him goodnight and said, "See you for church in the morning." And when I saw him, you know, the next time I saw him, he was in a casket because he died in the middle of the night in his sleep, and he was not sick. So I really believe that we have to claim our destiny and our blessings now. And that's one of the reasons I think that God put it on my heart to say, Tamara, you have the most amazing friends in the universe. And starting with Vivian, and whoever is out there listening and wants to tell their story, you have an open forum here. So that's out there to my universe. I see Rhonda on the call. I see Lynn is on the call. I just met Tina and others out there. This is a forum we can use to share stories. And you are being the kickoff, and it is so powerful. And I know people are really being blessed by your testimony.
Yes, and I saw one of the questions about my lifestyle. I practice an anti-cancer lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Because
so you're preventative now. You're being very preventative.
Right, because I know that there's a possibility that the cancer can come back. Mm-hmm. I saw so many of my girlfriends have cancer in the beginning. They went through the treatment, the cancer came back. Mm-hmm. Went through the treatment again, the cancer came back. The cancer just kept coming back until it took their lives, even though they were doing everything their doctors told them to do.
Yes.
So I remember my doctor, Dr. Richardson, which is an MD, a raw foodist, holistic doctor. When I came to him and told him what I was planning on doing, he looked me dead in my eyes and he said, Vivian, either you're going to do this and do it well, or get your breasts removed. He said, that's all I have to say, because you can't be playing around with this.
Right.
Can't be playing around with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a beautiful experience, Tamara. It's been a beautiful experience, and I just thank God for my life every day and my lifestyle, and I've been able to share my story with other people. Believe it or not, people come to our home to eat with us and
pick your brain and get your recipes and ask you to fix food for them.
Yeah.
And you have held classes in your home, but I told you that you were playing small and that God wants you to share this story with more people. So that is why I'm doing my part, so that when he asked me, Tamara, what did you do? I'll say, well, one thing I did was I helped Vivian expose her story to the world and get her books and her tapes out so that people who are searching and seeking will at least have some options, especially around the juicing. Anybody can do the juicing.
Yes.
Anybody can go to Whole Foods or Wegmans and decide to buy leafy green organic vegetables? And just say a little bit more why it should be the darker vegetables and why it's important that the darker greens are organic.
Well, first of all, you don't want to ingest the insecticides and pesticides that have been put on the foods. Because before I started organic, I started using the conventional foods, and I got into a little trouble doing that because after I realized I was putting back what I didn't want in my body, pesticides and insecticides, because I was trying to heal. And so organic is 100% important because it may not be the best of the best, but it's better than the conventional.
And then earlier today, someone asked, how can you really tell if something's organic? And you mentioned a code that's on every organic product.
Yes.
Can you say more about that?
Well, there's a 5-digit code number on certified organic foods, and they have the number 9. They start with the number 9, and it has a certified organic label on it.
Okay. And it begins with the number 9.
Yes.
Yes. Now, Tina had a question. She said that she had read recently, and of course we don't know where the study is, that too many green juices could cause kidney stones. And I gave my basic answer, which was hydration is the key. You have to have a lot of water.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. Water is the key along with the juices. And so, what happened? Yes, so I start my day out every morning with 32 ounces of water with lemon and with, I may add a little cayenne pepper, I may add a little turmeric, or just the lemon and water. But it's very important to get the water in, and you can dilute your juices. If you make 4 ounces of green leafy juice, and you can add 4 ounces of water to it. And so I don't know anything about that research, but I do know that juicing has helped to heal a lot of people.
And I think also a good reference for people is Dr. N. Walker. You mentioned him earlier, and he wrote the book on juice fasting.
Right.
So I think that
Dr. Norman Walker, yeah.
Dr. Norman Walker. And what's happened now is so many people are reading secondary sources instead of what we used to do, which was go to the people with the original information, like Dr. Arnold Ehret, and even now Dr. what's his name? Colin Campbell, who did the China study. And the China study will verify everything that Vivian is saying. And Dr. Colin Campbell is a nutritionist researcher out of Virginia Tech. And he comes to Reston every now and then. We're very fortunate that he comes over to Green Fair and he does classes and lectures. And so I have been following Dr. Campbell a great deal. He's got a wonderful cookbook out as well that's written by his daughter. So what we wanted to do tonight, everybody, was just to share Vivian's story. We got all the way through breakfast now. And get us through this day before we open it up for questions. You've got the 32 ounces of water with lemon, with a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of turmeric. And when you say a little bit, so you're talking about 1/4 of a teaspoon or so.
Yeah, so 1/8 of a teaspoon, whatever your body can tolerate.
Okay, and then now we're moving up to lunch. So you've got all these liquids slushing around in you. When it comes to lunchtime, that's when you have your big meal salad?
Absolutely, yes.
And what might be on that salad?
Well, some of anything that I've made. Maybe almond pate that I've made, or sunflower seed pate. It could be some of Willie's eggplant bacon, okra. It could be, cherry tomatoes, peppers, beautiful, colorful peppers, avocado, just a variety of things. Just a variety of things.
Now,
I want to go back to that kidney stone.
But hold up, before you go back, just know Miss Tina Smith that we met at the very beginning. So I want that bacon recipe.
Okay, good.
I think Willie is going to join us next Monday. I think I've twisted his arm a little bit, and we'll feature Willie Connor next week.
Well, I've heard so many people got into juicing and got into a little trouble because they didn't know what they were doing. Mm-hmm. You have to know what you're doing. If you are juicing conventional foods with pesticides, insecticides on them, yeah, something may happen. Mm-hmm. So do your research. Call on the people at Hippocrates, Oasis of Hope, those people that are actually using these modalities to help people. Mm-hmm. And you need to constantly be cleansing, because juicing, remember, doesn't have any fiber. So you have to get the fiber in other instances, like taking herbal fiber blend or taking some of Dr. Sabi's colon cleansers and stuff to keep flushing.
Right, because when I first started juicing, I got constipated. And it wasn't that I was juicing, I was blending the greens. I wasn't putting in enough liquid, so I was drinking these thick green juices. And then I realized I wasn't really doing it the right way. And then when I went and bought an actual juicer, because I had the Vitamixer. So I know that in my kitchen, I have to have the juicer and the Vitamixer, so I can blend food as well as juice food.
Right.
But I have been very diligent on it. The weight comes off like crazy. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to get back to drop these 50 pounds this year. And I know I can do it through the holistic eating and through the juice diet.
Yes.
And I won't even call it a diet, but just the juice, adding that to my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start up when we start doing the Daniel fast on January 8th. So anybody out there interested in the Daniel fast, we're going to form a little support group. Vivian's going to be trying to go more raw during that time, and so am I. But I'm going to still reserve that, probably that one cooked meal if I get a little bit weak. Now, Tina, I think we answered her question about the bacon. And so what I'm going to do now is unmute people and hope that we can just start. If you have a question, I think there's a way you can just kind of signal. And anybody have a question for Vivian? We're right at 10 minutes to 9, and we don't want to go past 9 o'clock. I'm going to put my part in now to thank Vivian for being here and giving us all this great advice. And now I will open up. Tina, did you have a direct question? Because you've been very active on the chat line.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if I were going to get started, first of all, I want to say, Vivian, thank you so much. This has been really encouraging, because one of my goals for the year is definitely to enhance my health. I do try to eat nowhere near what you and Tamara are doing, but I'm very cognizant. I'm not just eating, I don't eat fast foods, I don't drink sodas and all that kind of stuff, but I could do more to make sure that I'm being proactive in keeping myself healthy. So would you suggest that a start might be to do the 5 days with the lemon and water, and then the 5 days with fruit? Is that fruit, whole fruit, or is that juiced fruit?
It's whole fruits. Fruits. All the fruit you want to eat.
And
you know the first 3 days are going to be very, very very difficult for you. I hate to say it that way.
I thought you were going to
But
say
it's going to be tough. But if you can make it through that third day,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the most beautiful fasts I've ever had. I mean, it really cleansed my body.
Mm-hmm.
And after the 5 days of lemon and water, and when I went to the fruit was so delicious and so good. and I think my husband fixed me all kinds of fruits, like a bowl of watermelon. And like when you eat your melons, eat them alone. Because melons are not supposed to be eaten with anything else because it's a meal itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And at 5 days of eating all the fruit you want, and then 5 days of eating all the raw vegetables you want. And then you start back on your lifestyle of trying to eat more plants.
Mm-hmm. Now, the fruits, that should be fine. Doing the vegetables, does that not create a lot of gas?
For me, it didn't, because I think I was just carrying around things like chopped up cucumber and carrots and celery and little, and I would, when I got hungry, I'd just pop something in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And you can eat salads and any vegetable you want in its raw state, though.
Okay.
But if that gas does happen, that's just stuff that needed to come out anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so that your body is detoxing, and when it detoxes, it will do what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
It's all temporary.
Well, I'm going to try this and see how this works.
And there's
That's
also
gonna be
a spiritual
your jump
component. I know I felt closer to God when I fasted. And I've done I think I've done a 28-day fast in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, I just felt like I could just walk out and just kiss him on the cheek.
Vivian, you just said something. I didn't hear what you just said.
What happened?
I think you said something right as Tamara started talking. Do you remember what you were saying?
No.
She was saying that she carried things in little bags.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Little bag, like little snack bags with cucumbers or celery or carrots, so that you're constantly popping
munching.
Yeah.
So you're not munching on M&Ms.
Right.
I see my friend Bob Munoz is here. Hey, Bob, how are you?
Hi.
Bob and I have been friends since 1991, so you're right on the heels of Vivian. When I came from Germany, I landed in Reno, and Bob was my dear friend. So I'm glad to see you here, Bob.
I'm glad to be here. Okay.
Any questions or any comments for Vivian before we shut down? How you doing, Mr. Mosley?
I'm good.
Okay,
Very
wonderful.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as I said before, and maybe I didn't say it here, but every January and February, as I come upon a birthday, I try to give a gift to my friends. Now, last year, I spent the entire month, every Monday in February, I did a memoir class for friends to get them to write their stories. So this year, I decided, beginning in January, leading up to my 65th birthday, February 28th, I'm going to jump on the line every Monday. And I don't care if it's only one other person or it's just me. I'll just be talking and recording. So next week, Vivian, do we have an affirmative from Mr. Willie that
he's ready? He's ready.
Okay, Willie Connor, husband and juice master of Vivian Connor, will be here next week. And we want to, Vivian, help us next week so that Willie can actually do something, a demonstration for us, like he did when I was there.
Okay, good.
Okay, and I want to thank everybody. This is your last chance for questions. All of you have my email address. I put it in the chat room. So if you have any additional questions, you can email me and I'll get those to Vivian. Vivian, 2017, what is your big goal?
My big goal is to get the book written.
Oh, thank you.
That's my big goal.
Okay, wonderful. And my friend Lynn Carter is here. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us. Lynn is a newer friend. We've been friends for a couple years now.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay. So everybody, thank you. We're right at 9 o'clock. And look for more from Vivian. I'll be speaking with her. Sometimes we'll just be chatting, and I'll make a recording and I'll post it up on YouTube or post it up on the website. Thank you, and God bless you. And be bold this year with your health. Try something different, even if it's just 32 ounces of water every morning with a little lemon, a little cayenne, and a little turmeric, and you'll see a big difference. Right, Vivian?
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you, Tamara.
You're welcome. Let me just look here. I see. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So Tina may be joining us. All right. And Bob says that your story was educational and you have a great personal story with a good ending. You're right, Bob, and that's what we need to hear more of, some good endings. Thank you, everyone. And if you want to be a guest, just email me. Everybody has my email. Next week, Willie Connor, the Raw Foods Man, and the Juice Master. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.